All right. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. All right, ma'am. We are from Group One, and with me, I am Muhammad Naufal, with student number triple two one double two hundred, and I'm here as a moderator of this presentation. The presentation today, we are going to tell you about the genre of narrating, and the first material will be delivered by Wendy. So Wendy, time and place is yours. And before you deliver the material, please introduce yourself first. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Wendt and my student number is 222-122-101. Today I want to tell you about the definition of narrative and recount text. Narrative text is a text suggests tell us a story. The purpose of narrative is to entertain. Narratives often contain a moral or a message. Thus, it also educates the readers. Narrative text is a type of text that tells a story or describes a sequence of events. The purpose of a narrative text is to entertain or inform the reader by presenting a series of events in a coherent and engaging way. From other sources, narrative text is the type of text that tells a chronological story in the past tense. Narrative text is a story with complication or problematic events, and it tries to find a resolution to solve the problems. An important part of narrative text is the narrative mode, the set of methods used to communicate the narrative through a process narration. So this time is recount text. Recount text is a text that retells events or experience in the past. It is a record of events, and the purpose is to inform, entertain, and reflecting. Recount text is also a text that telling the reader about one story, action, or activity. Recount text is a text which retells event or experiences in the past. So, context is purpose is either to inform or entertain the audience. There is no complication among the participants, and that differentiates from the narrative. That's all from me. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for Wendy for the explanation. Next, we are going to move to the second material. It will be delivered by Akmal. So Akmal, time and place is yours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Naufal. Now I will tell you about narrative structures and recount structures. In narrative structures, there is 4 structures. First, orientation. In orientation, it gives the background of the story. The characters, place, and time are introduced in the orientation. 2, complication or conflict. In this part, the main characters are confronted with a problem. 3, in resolution. In resolution, describes how the characters resolve the problem. 4, coda. In coda, summarizes the narrative and marks the end. Now I will tell about recount structures. First, there is orientation. In here, describes the background of the event that you are retelling. It introduces the setting, characters, and time period. Second, events. The series of events that happened in the past in a chronological order. Third, reorientation. It can be a summary or an evaluative comment. Now I will tell you about types of narrative and types of recount. In narrative, there are 4 types. First, myths. Second, legends. Third, fables. Fourth, adventure stories. Now there is types of recount. In types of recount, there are 5 types. First, personal recount. Second, factual recount. Third, imaginative recount. 4, procedural recount. 5, a fifth, literary recount. That's all from me. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for Akmal to deliver the second material, and we are going to move to the third material. Will be delivered by Miftah. It's about the grammatical feature. So Miftah, time and place is yours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Naufal, for your time. Okay, before we are going to our explanation, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Miftahul. My three last student number 077, and today I'm going to explain you about the grammatical features from this chapter or this material. First one, as you know that grammar is doing the important in one text and so on. The first point we can see the display here when sequencing people and events in time and space. Narrating typically use action verb, and then the main point is using the action verb. So the second one is using a temporal connective. From each point, we know that narrating or narrating text is usually to use or to written by the action verb and also the connective. So next one, recount and stories are typically written in the past tense unless quoting direct speech. Except the present tense, also the grammatical function will be used by the past tense. And then in action sequence, mainly action verbs are used, while reflection or evaluation, mental verbs predominate. And then narratives often use action verbs metaphorically to create effective images. And then the last point, narratives often use rhythm and repetition to create particular effects. And last one, play with sentence structure in another common feature or narratives. Maybe that's all for my explanation. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for Miftah to deliver the third material, and the fourth material will be delivered by me, by myself. And please next. And I am going to I'm going to explain about the example of the narrative text, which is in the next slide, please. Next slide. All right, thank you, Miftah. Okay, this is the backend and in the narrative. All right, thank you, Miftah. And at the first, there's orientation. It is introduce the character first and also the situation in the story. And the second one in the second of events, using the as the Miftah tells before, that narrative often use the action verbs to create the overview for the reader to understand the story. And in this case, in this example of narrative text, is also tells with the action verbs. As we can see in the word, they saw a golden tree, and then the third sentence is they went slowly over to the tree. When they got closer to the tree, they heard a voice coming from the tree. It is a sequence that using the action verb. So that was the point. And then the last one is resolution that Akmal tells about that in the structures. It is called coda also. So in the resolution, there is a ending of the story. So that's all for me. I will give it to the next material, which is it will deliver by Devani. It's about the explanation of recount example. Please, Devani, time and place is yours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to Naufal. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Devani Fauzan with my students numbers is 222122105. Here, I want to explain about the example of recount text. Please, Miftah. Okay, in the recount text, there are two structures. There are orientation and sequence of events. The orientation in this recount text is the first part, is the first sentence, where the main events of the day, the excursion to the Powerhouse Museum, is introduced along with the year level of the students. The first paragraph of the text serves as the orientation because it sets the scene for the reader and provides context for the main events of the text, which is the excursion to the Powerhouse Museum. The orientation gives the reader a brief overview of what they expect in the text by introducing the year level of the students and the fact that they went on an excursion to the museum. The orientation is important because it helps to orient the reader to the purpose and topic of the text before diving into the sequence of events. It provides a framework for the reader to follow and helps to establish the context for the events that follow. Without an orientation, the reader might be confused about the purpose and context of the text, making it difficult to follow along with the sequence of events. And the sequence of events in this context refer to the chronological order of activities that occur during the excursion to the Powerhouse Museum. The sequence of events is important because it helps the reader to follow along with the progression of activities and understand the order in which they occur. The sequence of events begins in the second sentence, where the students depart from school and catch the train to Central Station. The paragraph describes the journey to the museum, including the route they took through the Devonshire Street Tunnel to Harris Street. The third sentence describes the activities that took place at the museum, including watching a movie, looking at games and equipment, and having lunch. This sentence outlines the various events that occur at the museum in a sequential order, with the movie and games being described before lunch. The fourth sentence then describes a side excursion to the Sydney Morning Herald, which occurred after lunch. This section of the text provides a break in the sequence of events from the museum to describe this additional activity that took place. And the final sentence of the fourth paragraph signals the end of the excursion and describes the return trip to Marrickville, concluding the sequence of events. That's all from me. Thank you very much.
All right, Devon, thanks for the last material that delivered by you. Okay, so the conclusion of this material is narrative and recount is the same text that using the past time, but it is the quite different that narrative using the story, but recount must be using the experience or the fact story that happened in the past, but narrative could be myth, legends, and something else like that. So that's all from the group one. We are apologize for all of the mistake in this presentation, ma'am. We are from group one, signing out. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.